Okay, we're continuing with the Gospel according to Mark, and we're doing chapter 5, verses 21 to 43. Okay, the first picture here is a lady who touched the hem of his garment of Christ. She was having an internal bleeding problem, probably from fibroids, something like that, and not getting better. Nothing had been working. She touched the hem of Christ, and she was healed, made whole, so to speak. Okay, here's another painting of it, to touch the hem of Christ and be healed. There's a great song from Sam Cooke, if I could touch the hem of his garden, I'd be healed. Okay, so she sought him out to touch the hem of his garden, and she was healed. And then here I think is actually the best of the paintings. I love this, by Harold Coping. Okay, so there's a woman. Jesus turned around and said, "Who touched me?" And she said, "I did, your Lord." Okay, and she sensed immediately that she was healed. So that's the famous touch the hem of the garment painting. And then the next thing that's going to come up in this chapter of the Gospel according to Mark is the daughter of Jairus. So Jairus is the man here, and his daughter was very sick. They thought she was dying, and they asked Jesus if he would come to help her. And the people outside the door thought that she was only asleep. I mean, they thought that she had died, and Jesus said, "No, she's just sleeping." And so then Jesus came to see her, and he helped her out, and she was healed. So anyways, this is the first painting by a Russian artist, Vasily Polinov. There was another Russian artist who had a good painting of it. I can't find that one, though. Here's another painting. I think this guy's another Russian artist as well. The Russian artists, they like this story. This one is Raising the Daughter of Jairus by Ilya Repin from 1874. Okay, so now let's read the actual verses. Okay, the healing touch of Jesus. Gospel according to Mark, chapter 5, verse 21. When Jesus had again crossed by boat to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, a large crowd gathered around him beside the sea. A synagogue leader named Jairus arrived, and seeing Jesus, he fell at his feet, and he pleaded with him urgently, "My little daughter is near death. Please come and place your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." So Jesus went with him, and a large crowd followed, and they pressed around him. And a woman who was there who was suffering from bleeding for 12 years. She had borne much agony under the care of many physicians, and had spent all she had, but to no avail. Instead, her condition had only grown worse. When the woman heard about Jesus, she came up through the crowd behind him and touched his cloak. For she kept saying to herself, "If only I touch the hem of his garments, I will be healed." Immediately the bleeding stopped, and she sensed in her body that she was healed of her affliction. At once Jesus was aware that the power had gone out of him. Some power had gone out of him. And turning to the crowd, he asked, "Who touched my garments?" His disciples answered, "You can see the crowd pressing in on you, and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But he kept looking around to see who had done this. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him, trembling in fear, and she told him the whole truth. "Daughter," said Jesus, "your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be free of your affliction." While he was still speaking, messengers from the house of Jairus arrived, and they said to Jairus, "Your daughter is dead. Why bother the teacher anymore?" But Jesus overheard their conversation and said to Jairus, "Do not be afraid. Just believe." And he did not allow anyone to accompany him except for Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. So these disciples have sort of been signaled out as the head of the disciples. When they arrived at the house of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw the commotion and the people weeping and wailing loudly. He went inside and asked, "Why all this commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but asleep." And they laughed at him. After this, he had them all put aside. So basically, by laughing and scorning Jesus, they had shown a disrespect for him such that he didn't want them present when he carries out the miracle. He took the child's father and mother, and with them and his own companions, and they went in to see the child. Taking her by the hand, Jesus said, "Talitha cumi," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." Immediately the girl got up and began to walk around. She was 12 years of age. And at once they were utterly astonished. Then Jesus gave strict orders that no one should know about this, and he told them, "Give her something to eat." Okay, so that's chapter 5 of the Gospel according to Mark. Hope you found that helpful.